example, if you want to have a different logic, I want to only skip printing O. Okay, I could write using the continue. For example, I can just say if C equal to O, you can just do continue. Okay, so in this case, it's probably I should do additional things here, otherwise the loop iterations will not change. If I equal to 0, what I will do is I will say I minus minus C minus minus and I will continue. Okay, which means I'm just trying to skip this. It's a very trivial example. I mean, probably nobody will write code like this just to demonstrate the use of continue. So what I'm doing, the moment I see O, I want to go to the next iteration of the loop. Next iteration of the loop in this case will come here and check here. So I want to make sure I and C are getting changed here. So what will happen in this case is, you can see O alone will not get printed. LMN, O is missing, right? So O alone didn't get printed because I skipped to the next iteration of the loop here. Is that clear? So you could have done the same, using for loop also, right? I could have done the same thing using the same continue break. Everything will work in any of the loops. I could have just, say for example, take int I char C. I could have written as a for loop also. But run the same continue operation here. You can just say if C equal to 0, O. Hopefully this should work. So in this case, because I'm using the behavior of for loop, right? When I say continue in for loop, automatically the control will come here. So there's no need to do those decrements and all those things here. So it's a little more natural to make it as a for loop in this case. And see, I'm just using a simple statement. I'm not putting the curly braces because it's one statement. If it is O, it will skip it and continue. So hopefully, let's see whether it works. So see, it skipped that O here. Great. How to use break and continue? Same thing. If I use a break here also, it would have stopped. I'm putting the break even before printing. So even O will not get printed. It will stop it. Is that clear? How we can use break and continues in loops actually. And we have seen for loop, while loop, do while loop. The break and continue works in any of the loops actually. Okay. So this is the basic, so we have seen all the three types of loops. Just to summarize. So in the overall control flow, if you look at, we saw the if else statements, else if, how we can change the program flow based on some conditions. We also saw the switch case construct, which is natural for some type of operations. We saw looping mechanisms. We saw the basic while loop and the for loop, and also we saw the do while loop where the loop at least runs once. And we saw how we can write nested loops. And we also saw how to abort from a loop by using the break statement, or how to skip part of the loop and go to the next iteration by using the continue statement. We also saw that there is something called as a go-to statement, though it's not recommended to be used in everyday use. So these things summarizes, the control flow statements in C, because we need control flow because in any program, there will be always things that you may want to repeat. So you have loops, and you'll also always have to take some decisions or other based on some conditions. That's why you need the if, else, and those kind of statements or switch statements. Otherwise, in a C program, if without these statements, execution always go in sequence. It'll go statement after statement, it'll keep running. But not all programs can be written with just that. In many real life programs, you have to check conditions and take actions appropriately. So control flow statements are very essential part of any programming language. And C, you have a rich set of control flow statements, which allows you to write good programs and in a very convenient and concise fashion. So it's quite simple to use once you practice, and again, to stress programming comes only by actually doing, right? I think only listening to a lecture is not sufficient to learn. So I would say all of you, please do try writing simple code snippets, try it out. You will make mistakes. You have to learn the art of debugging, skill of debugging, stepping through the code and understanding what's going wrong. So please do start now. I think with the basic stuff that we have covered, right? The simple variables, constants, how to initialize operators, and with the loops, you can actually write a good number of programs actually. So there is enough that you know now to write a large class of programs. We'll see more concepts in C which are there in the subsequent topics, but I think whatever we have covered till now, I think gives you enough knowledge and understanding to write a lot of programs actually, because we have covered a good amount of the language features. So would encourage all of you to start trying to write simple programs, because programming is a skill like any other skill. You learn only by doing, right? My favorite example is it's like learning to cycle. So you can read any book on how to do cycling, right? You can watch YouTube videos on how to cycle, but unless you actually take a cycle, sit on the cycle, try pedaling, fall a few times, get some bruises, you'll never learn cycling in life, right? Swimming, you can learn book on swimming, watch YouTube videos, but unless you jump into the pool, drink a little bit of water, struggle, you'll learn, right? Once you learn, you don't forget. If you learn cycling in your life once, even after 10 years, you take a cycle, that's kind of gets into your system, right? So programming is a skill like that. So programming, if you have to learn, you have to try it out. So just watching the videos, the lectures, reading books is not sufficient at all. It will look like you understood, but you will not be able to really be an efficient programmer. So the only way to learn programming is to actually try things out. So I would encourage all of you to actually start writing some code, try it out, make mistakes, and that's the only way to learn. Okay, we'll stop here and we'll continue with the next module in the next session.